Thank you so much, Charlie. I appreciate the introduction and a very good morning to everyone. It's a privilege to be on the stage and my pleasure to have your time and mind share. But a little bit on me. Let me just get a little bit on me before I set the context for my talk today, which is, like Charlie said, alluded to, our mission is to democratize 3D. I started my journey as a computer vision fanatic, if you will. My passion for AI and computer vision started at Microsoft. This was early 2000s. If you remember those multiplayer tennis games, with the Kinect, which was a depth sensor sitting on top of Xbox. And that's where I'd say I truly discovered the potential of convergence of AI and computer vision that I'm going to refer to a lot in the talk ahead. Went on to do my B school at Wharton, spent about 6 years as a tech investment banker. I'd say this is where destiny knew my fate before I did. Saw literally a lot of tech majors putting a lot of organic and inorganic investments into upgrading the computing platform, that's a flat device that we carry today called a mobile, into something that's a wearable, perhaps a chip in the brain if Elon Musk succeeds, but the idea being that a life-size visual discovery experience coming, where the digital web would likely superimpose onto the physical reality that we share. And that's honestly where the vision for Avatar started for me. A better way to maybe present my background is I've literally seen the camera evolve in its intelligence from capture, which was perhaps the initial use case of capturing the physical reality. Remember the selfies? Evolved into something where a camera with an AI and a computer vision layer behind it. This was the convolutional networks and the advent of deep learning, if you will, where the camera started the ability to detect and understand the space around it, right? What we're doing at Avatar today is literally taking it to the next level, which is how do we let the camera augment, but not just augment, manipulate the physical reality, right? Imagine if I could just simply move a physical couch to the side and drop, say, a virtual couch in its place and see the renovated look without any physical effort involved. And that's honestly what's happening. If you see the evolution of AI, I'd probably say the detect and understand had an underlying AI evolution of 2D image recognition, 2D image manipulation, a lot of utility value that came out of it. And the next phase that's happening today as we speak, and I'll talk about it a little later, is 3D scene and object manipulation, understanding the environment around you with depth and the utility value that it brings to the table. But if you were to truly look at this trend, I'd say the camera with the AI and the computer vision behind it is today perhaps surpassing a human eye and a brain coordination in a lot of specific use cases, right? You've probably seen this already in the industrial side and still nascent, having said that utility value is being created. And Albert Einstein, about a century back, quipped, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. The only reason why we all agree that there's this podium on the stage is because we share a persistent experience of it in our shared physical reality, right? And that's probably the reason why we agree. Now, imagine the new century just replace reality with digital, and you'd see that's exactly what perhaps we all are together as an ecosystem doing today, evolving the web from static to 2D web, that it was flat, into something that can superimpose into the space around us, create context, which is to our intent, to the space that we're in, and to the context that we want to probably discover the web in. And that's where we find utilitarian value. And I'm here today to probably present one such utilitarian use case that we at Avatar have been seeing around commerce, and a lot of ROI proposition that we're able to deliver here and now today on mobile devices while perhaps getting ready, both from a consumer sophistication perspective as well as from a retail partner perspective, to take it to the next level of wearables once that inflection happens. Introducing contextual reality, that's what we call our platform. We think of this as not just augmenting, but manipulating. And what you see here is, if I were a consumer looking at a single purchase intent, right, I'd probably want to drop that into my space, and there's the erstwhile augmented reality use case that has probably shown ROI already in terms of transaction uplifts if you see the industry experience over the last 2 years. But the idea here is we are now literally thinking about removing consumer friction from digital shopping experiences today, right? If the consumer is at home and that's the context, you want them to search, browse, discover products within the camera. It shouldn't be a get into the camera, get back into the 2D web page and browse, right? So you'd see that we've introduced the entire catalog available for a consumer while they're looking at the context of a couple of products, maybe compare two products they're confused about, look at how does this look in my living space, and then make the purchase decision. Equally, you'd see that we go deep into contextual reality in terms of the functional feature discovery of products. We have primarily focused on commerce. Our key KPI is about driving more transactions as we bring this experience upgrade. And so creating consumer confidence, we've seen, is one of the key nuggets. It's the emotional hook to get consumers actually have the confidence to go ahead and make the purchase. And that's honestly what this does. It probably a feature that you saw on this television versus a brand that's competing is the reason why you made the decision in terms of transactions. And what we're honestly doing, ladies and gentlemen, is reimagining camera as a new homepage, right? Where we think the space that you're in is going to be dynamic very soon. It already is on a mobile phone today with 6 degrees of freedom. And there's a lot of utility value in rethinking through the home experience being this interactive dynamic space that you're looking at. And the reason is, for example, in this case, multiple different products. Imagine if I wanted to renovate my living space. This is my home, so virtually welcome everyone to my living space. But the idea here is I've just dropped a 3-seater, a single-seater couch on the side. I don't like, say, the existing coffee table in the center. I'm dropping another one on top of it, and now seeing the visualization of all these 3 products together. Idea being, it's not usually just a single product intent. There's also the impulse intent, a gateway experience perhaps, which has a lot of potential of driving impulse to purchase conversions in that funnel. And while you may be thinking that we're just doing digital upgrades, honestly, the context extends to the store. Because the context is the space that you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're in your home, whether in your store. And I'll just show you a couple of things that we're doing today on our platform. The idea of bringing the products to life, where, say, a product that I've found impulse in, I can just have digital overlays of information about the product features, perhaps a couple of videos informing me on certain key differentiators to make the decision. The other one that you saw is perhaps a similar product, either a price discount that you're looking for, or a similar feature functionality with a different brand that you're probably looking for. What we call this is honestly an infinite aisle. While you're limited to the physical experience of the shelf inventory in the store, the ability that you have with this technology is to add 3D overlays, digital overlays that bring the entire shelf of the digital inventory catalog to the store in what we call as an infinite aisle. Similarly, you could have combination aspirational looks, right? Think of this as a physical experience of walking through combination looks once you enter a store and getting aspired by one. Instead, what about an infinite aisle of virtual concepts of different products that you can purchase? And now, as you can see, these are dynamic, so you could maybe change one of them, one of the products, while keeping the rest of the combination. So there's a lot of dynamism in how you're thinking about it. Well, I know the M word is something that I shouldn't be using on the stage, but we are seeing a little bit of metaverse bubbles happen in the store already, where in a controlled environment, a headset could empower an experience which is very similar. You're in a life-size mall, literally, looking at aspirational living spaces, aspirational bedroom spaces, kitchen spaces, and perhaps starting your journey from that impulse gateway experience down below. And so, you would have heard of digital transactions, you would have heard of omnichannel, you would have heard of physical, you've heard of digitally led physical, but here's the time where we're now seeing physically led digital transactions where a walk-in consumer is likely purchasing a digital transaction in the experience and the consumer journey that the physical store today has. And why all this? For this one slide, which is, it's not just about the utility value in terms of removing consumer friction and an experience upgrade if you were to think of shopping, but equally it's an ROI proposition that we're discovering has a lot of strength in it. It's early days. It's still perhaps 1% of catalog across marketplaces that we work with that are 3D enabled. But you can see that even within those early days, we're driving about 2 times uplift when compared to static 2D images, the carousel of images that you see on PDP pages today, into a 3D AR-ready experience where you drop the couch into the context of your living space and then make a purchase decision. Equally, what you'd see is the third row, which is, once you go from a photorealistic and a responsive 3D experience into an interactive one, right? The camera is the home page or the ability to look at color changes of an SKU, or perhaps recline a recliner or open a refrigerator door, you start seeing a lot more jump in the conversion rates. And that's the emotional connect. You also see the time spent going up from almost a minute to 4 minutes. This is about discovery happening on steroids and analytics that we haven't yet uncovered the potential of by any means. This is a compelling proposition, right? Everybody would agree it's revenue growth, it's perhaps cost savings, which we'll unveil very soon. But how do we really scale this? Because historically, the problem that the industry has had is the manual Hollywood-style CAD/CAM creation of 3D assets. It's time-consuming, it's cost-prohibitive, and except for the higher ASP products, would you even make ROI if you were to be spending $100 a model? Is a big question mark, right? How do you truly democratize 3D with that kind of a cost inhibitor to the experiences that we saw? And so this was honestly a prerequisite for us as we thought of the mission of reimagining visual discovery for commerce. And so what you see here is a tech that we're unveiling today, and my privilege to do that with this esteemed audience. But the 3D neural network, you would have heard of neural radiance fields. We've been on it for 4.5 years. I think that's where the universe conspired for us, in the sense that we probably got lucky picking the right AI platform. But this is a neural radiance fields. It allows for a consumer or a seller to simply walk around any product and convert a life-size equivalent of it. It also allows for a mesh export at the end, so that you can do a last mile editing, for example, opening a refrigerator door, or if you were to seriously think of an upper funnel experience, perhaps making a product personified with sunglasses and dancing, right? Who knows what you want to do when you think of the creativity upstairs. But that's effectively the proposition of the platform. I'm going to show you a couple of results which are fully automated. This works across surfaces and categories. As you can see, the fur on the teddy and some of the complexity that we're able to handle in a fully automated result. There could be some noise, especially on the bottoms. We do have minor last mile editing interfaces that allow you to quickly make this happen. This is AR ready, so we're not talking 2D to 3D, but 2D to AR, which is a low poly mesh, uniform mesh, unlike the photogrammetry issues, in case some of you have had experiences with the scan rigs and that expensive setup, which would not really work in terms of reusability. You can see the various different categories that are happening. We can handle high frequency today, which has been a historical problem in the space, and I think a big breakthrough that we've made, which can extend to human avatars very soon. So Charlie, we may be surprising you and get into the business that you thought we wouldn't get into. But the other extreme use case that we're seeing come to light, which we may have never imagined, is portable living spaces, right? What if you could, similar to the object that I showed you, just do 3 rings of a video, capture of any space, your living space perhaps, and let it be portable with you. So that the next time that you visit a physical store and you like, say, a couch, how about just opening a camera, pointing your camera towards the couch, and then seeing that couch within your space. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the future that we're building towards. Please do visit us. We are live at booth 324 and would love to take Q&A. I'm running out of time, so I'd probably just end with a thank you. Appreciate the time.